What's up, y'all? It's your girl, Cornelia, back with another episode of Black News, a podcast where we break down current events, hot topics, and local stories involving Black people. Now let's get into it. So, y'all know, in an effort to keep us abreast on the happenings while simultaneously not trying to be all doom and gloom, we have to be updated and we have to stay abreast on what's happening in regards to Black people. And I'm talking about politically because y'all know we on our break 92%, 80%. Chilling. We are chilling. We're chilling in the sense of we not in the streets. Because I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm boycotting Target. Okay, yeah, I used to be up in Target every week. That was one of my stores, my weekly stores. I ain't one of them go to Target multiple times a week now. I got things to do. I don't have that kind of money. But Target was one of my go-to stores. Ain't been in since the DEI initiatives were dropped. Okay, I ain't been back. So I feel like we or some of us are still actively doing things within us. I won't even call them guidelines, but within reason that is not going to put us in more harm than we could be in if we do other things. I.e., if we get out there and start protesting, the all them police with riot gear gonna show up. Y'all know, and they're censoring our news, by the way, because I only see protests and things on TikTok from Canadian news and from British news. But that's a whole nother conversation. But y'all know there have been protests, veterans been protesting, women been protesting, and rightfully so, because these other demographics and groups of people need to learn how to fight for their stuff and what they believe in and what they want and their rights before we take to the streets and they just fall back and let us do the hard work. But y'all notice, ain't no police in riot gear. Ain't nobody getting arrested. There are no tanks and military vehicles out there in the streets. There are no conveniently placed piles of bricks on the side of the street where some random agitator pop out of nowhere with an all black outfit on and a black shiesty mask can throw it into a window of a shopping store. There aren't any strategically placed looters anywhere. Y'all notice that? So the minute we come out there, it's going to change the dynamic of what's happening, not because we are doing something. It's because they waiting for us to get out there so that we heard people say they want to declare martial law. They want to start arresting Black people. I can go down a whole line of conspiracy theories that I feel like ain't even conspiracy. They just waiting to happen. But the point is, one of the things in an effort to keep us abreast, even if it's just briefly and just reminding people or bringing something to light, is that we have to stay vigilant, and this is going to change our positioning and who we show up as Black people for the future. I say that with this in mind. News and articles and reports just came out that says the Arlington Cemetery strips content on Black and female veterans from their website. And I'm going to read the article and I'm going to tell you how this is affecting us and how we operate moving forward. The article reads, and this is BBC News because again, I don't really be fooling with CNN and MSNBC no more, but I don't really be seeing no American outlets reporting on this. Okay, we're being censored. Anywho, it says Arlington National Cemetery has scrubbed from its website information and educational materials about the history of Black and female service members. Some of the content removed from the site was on veterans who had received the nation's highest military recognition, the Medal of Honor, according to military news site Task and Purpose. The content removal is part of a larger effort by y'all's president, and by y'all, I'm not talking about us, you're talking about that other group, to eliminate diversity, equity, and inclusion practices in the military and throughout the federal government. Approximately 400,000 veterans are buried in the Army-run cemetery, which was established after the U.S. Civil War at the home of the South's General Robert E. Lee. On the cemetery's website, internal links that directed users to web pages with information about the notable graves of dozens of Black, Hispanic, and female veterans were missing on Friday. The pages contain short biographies about veterans such as Colin L. Powell, the first Black chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, which was the highest rank in the military after the president. They also told the life stories of members of the Tuskegee Airmen, the country's first Black military airmen. One thing that has consistently been happening is an attack on education in America. And I won't even say only as it relates to Black history, but a lot of the movement is surrounding Black history. We've seen school books in Texas being changed to no longer say that Black people were enslaved. There's some that reports that said they're calling them indentured servers or indentured servants or workers, trying to insinuate that Black people were paid. We see people banning books that teach anybody anything about people that are not white men in this country, whether there's women's stories, Black people stories, indigenous stories, you name it, LGBTQ plus stories, so on. This is another example of how there is a blatant attempt to remove Black people and their accomplishments, even to the point where you're willing to take down the accomplishments of people in the United States military. Now, why do I think this is happening? I think there can be many reasons, but I think the most sinister of those, if Black people, if people are taught in America that Black people have done nothing, then it removes the claim that Black people should have something and should be compensated for the things that they've done and recognized for the things that they've done. And it also feeds the storyline that if Black people have not accomplished anything, because in our history books it said that they didn't, then that means they aren't worth anything. And we can justify now attempting to try to put them back in a level of servitude. Do you get what I mean? And again, that's very extreme, but to me, it's right. It's right in front of us. If you teach people that Black people were not enslaved, that negates the claim that we should be receive reparations or we should receive some compensation or this happened to us and this is why these systems were built because of X, Y, and Z. If you remove that, then we have no claim and what we're saying is now factually incorrect. If you take us off of the military websites and our accomplishments, it essentially starts the process to say we weren't even serving in the military, so we and Black veterans should not receive equal rights and protection of the law as it pertains to veterans and people who served. And while it seems so unrealistic now because we are living in a reality where people know about our accomplishments and know about the things that we've achieved and the things that have happened in this country. If y'all remember, over 50% of Americans cannot read above the fifth grade level. There is a large percentage of people in this country who are illiterate. And that don't mean the remaining percentage jump up to being able to read at the 12th grade level. That means there's some people who can't read at the 7th, the 8th, the 9th, and so on. So we already see how easy it is to slowly and consistently build a population that is uneducated, build a population who does not believe facts if one person that they like tells them otherwise. It is very easy to manipulate a group of people who just aren't able to comprehend and process information. So while you have people who know what the truth is, you have a bigger group of people who will believe the opposite, which means it's only within a span of, listen, I give you even 10 years where you're going to have a majority of Americans in a position where they're questioning any of the things that Black people have been through in this country, not because they don't believe it, but because it's easy to train their minds and to switch their beliefs. So when I talk about Black people and what this means for us, Y'all, they were single-handedly turning us into the griots of our communities. We are now, y'all know, we hear all those stories. We talk about stories passed down from our ancestors, and we wonder how, or try to figure out how information got lost from those particular ancestors that came over directly from Africa and were enslaved, and what stories were passed down to their children and their children and their children, and how stuff got lost in the sauce, and how so much stuff was lost, so much information was lost. Y'all, if we are now the griots who have to make sure shit ain't lost. Y'all, how they just changed our job titles in front of us. And I'm not saying this lightly, and I'm not saying it as a joke, but for those of us who are history buffs, we gonna have to start verbally telling history and telling as many people as possible and finding outlets to share that. For those of us who have young people in our lives, we gonna have to be the ones having them little basement Black history classes to make sure that our kids and kids in the neighborhood know information. For those of us with platforms, we gonna have to start finding ways to remind people and to educate. Because if it's as easy as just saying, hey, take the Black people off the website, and it happens, and there's nothing that can be done to stop it, y'all, that is that it was that easy. It's that easy. It's that easy. Now let me add this asterisk, and I said this at the top of the podcast. I'm starting to feel more and more and more like that, like that kooky person that be like, the government, they trying to attack us as the Black man. I'm starting to feel like that, but y'all, I feel like it's so justified. Like, I feel like we are dead smack in the middle of it, to the point where, again, it's just this easy to remove Black history and Black people's accomplishments. It's just this easy for them to say to the National Archives, delete all that shit. And they just delete it. Are there even backup files? Yeah, y'all. There better be somebody in the government who got fired through them layoffs and firings that got a little hard drive at the crib with all of the deleted information and history. There better be somebody hoarding this shit at the house. Oh, I swear to God. But I just want to point that out so that we can start getting in the mind frame of it is that simple and that easy to delete our accomplishments from history books and from record. Okay. But I'm going to move on to other topics. But if y'all have any, insight or any things to add to this particular one, y'all know where to find me. Okay. You can hit up me, the Kooky Conspiracy Theory Lady, on social media at Cornelia. There's some people who it seems like they just can't never get out of Shit's Creek. Y'all know some people who you feel like they just can't never get their foot out of it. Whether that's their own doing or whether that is people bringing things up about them, whether that is, I'm doing air quotes, the man trying to take you down, whatever. Okay. It's some people who it seems like they always gonna be in something. It's always gonna be something lurking around the corner. And let me point this out. And this is me having, this revelation as I gotten older. Some people, sometimes you are, in air quote, the man that keep you involved in some BS. Sometimes you are the person that is consistently holding you back. It ain't nobody else. You are the one who keep putting yourself in these situations or keeps you involved in something that could easily be avoidable. Now, that doesn't apply to everybody, but again, what I've learned over the years, hey, sometimes it's you. Okay, sometimes it's you. But I'm specifically in this instance talking about Jonathan Majors' child. Every time I turn my back, it's some Jonathan Majors information and some news updates coming out. To the point I don't even bring everything up on here because it's not worth it. But one thing that came out, just as Jonathan Majors and the team behind the movie Magazine Dreams that got shelved right after Sundance is preparing to put the movie out. And side note, Zeus is one of the producers on there. Now you listen, Z- hey, whatever. Anyway, I'm not even gonna go there. I'm not even gonna go there. The point is, the movie got rave reviews at Sundance. It was supposed to be Jonathan Majors' first Oscar moment, whether he won or not. That was supposed to put him in the running for that particular his role in that movie. He plays a bodybuilder who is going through, has some mental challenges, ups and downs. Child, looking at the previews, the character crazier than a mug. And once the allegations came out in the court case about him and Grace Jabari, the movie got shelved. Okay, put it on the shelf. Now that the trial and the case has been settled, it came back out. Will it do as much of have much of an impact as it was right after Sundance? I don't think so. Because honestly, Jonathan Majors was coming off of that Creed run, and Creed did 200 and something $1 million at the box office. So, hey, he was on a super high. And so I just don't think this movie will have the impact that it would should have. But now that we back on this and he's back moving forward, reports dropped and an audio snippet has been given and released by Rolling Stone that essentially has him, Jonathan Majors, admitting to assaulting his ex, Grace Jabari. Now, I can't play the audio because Rolling Stone got everything behind a dang paywall, okay? They got it behind a paywall. I am not signing up and paying for Rolling Stone magazine, especially with them lists they be putting together, the top 5 this and the top 5 hip hop song. No, I'm not paying for the foolishness. You understand? But I can read some transcripts from the audio so that you all know what I'm talking about. So, per the article in USA Today, it just recaps what happens, right? It starts with in the newly released audio clip obtained by Rolling Stone and published on Monday, Majors reportedly can be heard admitting to strangling Jabari and pushing her against a car during a conversation with the British dancer and movement coach. Per Rolling Stone, the couple's conversations was captured in the aftermath of a days-long fight between Majors and his then girlfriend. So, what does the audio say? It shows one, this is a part of it. I'm ashamed as ever, Majors begins, according to the 28-second clip audio published. I've never been aggressive with a woman before. I've never aggressed a woman. I aggressed you. Then, continuing on, you strangled me and pushed me against the car, Jabari says to Majors in the clip, to which Majors replies, yes, all those things are under arrest. Yeah, that's never happened to me. And so it continues on. Jabari later probes Majors for an explanation for the assault, asking the Ant-Man star if he attacked her because she said something sarcastically in your eyes. In response, Majors says, clearly, it's more than that. Something inside you, Jabari says as a follow-up. Majors replies, yeah, towards you. Child, listen. First of all, where was this audio? Was this played in court? Was the audio played in court? Two, was Rolling Stone sitting on this audio this whole time? Because if you remember, I believe they were the publication who did a whole workup and write up about Jonathan Majors when the reports first came out about him and Grace Jabari. They interviewed some of his old classmates. They talked to some of his old girlfriends when he was in theater school. Child, they done dug up. They turned over every rug, okay? So were they also sitting on this audio? Because they could have just dropped it then. Like, give us all the information. Unless they were either A, strategically holding this for a later time, or B, they did not receive it until recently. And based on what I read and what it sounds like, Grace Jabari is the one that recorded this. So did she provide Rolling Stone with this? Or was this evidence that was submitted in the court case? Because y'all know sometimes some things can be released to the public after the case wraps. I don't know about footage like this, but I do know, for example, remember when the Tory Lanez case, when people wrote letters in support of him, how at the end of the trial, it was released, all the names of the letters that people wrote were released. That's how we know Mario and them wrote letters to support. Okay. And they got thrown under the bus. So where was this footage? Okay. Where was this footage? And I'm not saying this in defense of either side. I'm not saying this because I feel like they are at fault for releasing it. But we are essentially a year or two past or beyond or away from the initial event. So for this to drop now, hey man, where was it? Now, I will say, because I want to protect us, the Black News listeners, I don't know, and this is just to keep in mind for people who be recording stuff. This should be fine because I don't think New York applies. I believe they were in New York when this happened. But if you are in Los Angeles or one of the parties is in Los Angeles, this is a two-party consent state. So you cannot record your conversation with somebody in California unless you and them acknowledge and accept or agree to being recorded. Just keep that in mind, because I haven't seen cases. I don't be following like the intricate details of cases, but if you show up in a California case and you say I secretly recorded this person, child, you can get in trouble because you didn't get that consent. However, if somebody doing something shady to you in this case and you getting choked out, baby, record what he said. Like, I don't know. I'm just allegedly. I don't know. Child, I'm reading the papers. I say all that to say, I'm honestly not sure what will and what can happen to Jonathan Major's career. I do not know if him being a black man and having went through this ordeal and had went through this case and was found guilty of what he was found guilty of, and I'm not remembering the specific charge. It was like a third degree. It was a lesser charge. But him just going through this and getting dropped by Marvel, child, they done changed the whole Kang storyline, baby. They said, this is too much. Let's bring Robert Downey Jr. back. You know how bad it got to be for them to bring back the character that they killed off? Robert Downey Jr. said he was done. Child, they said, you know what? You want to give it a go one more time. And he came back. Baby, Kang is done. You know how bad it got to be for that to happen? To rewrite the whole Marvel storyline. So I do not know what will happen in this. And I don't think we've seen this happen exactly like this. So we can kind of measure and predict what the outcome will be. The only person we can kind of compare this to will be Nate Parker and Columbus Short. And again, I'm just reading the papers and I'm just giving perspective from what I remember. I'm not accusing anybody of anything. This is allegedly. This is just what we've observed as television and movie watchers and supporters of Black art. The only two examples that I feel like we can base this on are both of those. And in both of those situations, the incidents that they went through and were a part of significantly impact the public perception and their career. Now, I'm saying this because, and let me put an asterisk on this, their trajectory in their career and the pivot and the things that happened could have been their decision. They could have personally pulled back from the spotlight and pulled back from being in movies and on television in an attempt to manage the conversation in the chatter that was happening about them and their reputation and their previous actions, whether the actions were correct or not, or proven or not. But we saw with Nate Parker. Nate Parker, child, listen, Nate Parker can act. I have friends who used to be in his acting class. He used to have a small acting class out here in LA with working actors. And by working actors, I'm not meaning the A-list, the super uber duper celebrities. Working actors means that they be those people that you see in a guest star role in a sitcom, and maybe they doing a one episode on a Netflix show. They're working, but they're still in acting class. I know people who trained under him and was out here getting that work because he was a fantastic acting coach. in addition to Nate Parker killing it on his own. But when people were reminded of the case that happened, that he was involved in college with the woman being sexually assaulted, I'm not remembering if he was guilty. Innocent. I don't remember that part. I just remember after that came out, child, he wasn't really working. Columbus Short was on Scandal. Y'all, I'm listen. If you know me, I go on this Columbus Short rant because Michael B. Jordan career was supposed to be Columbus Shorts, and can't nobody tell me otherwise. Y'all, let me cook for a minute. Let me cook. And let me preface this with, I'm not one of those people that be like, if he would have done this, then Michael B. Jordan wouldn't have X, Y, and Z. I'm not that person. You know how people be trying to say Beyonce wouldn't have been famous if Aaliyah was still alive. I do not believe that. So I'm not saying this as one wouldn't have if the other had. But if you look at Columbus Short and his career, Columbus Short was a dancer, he was an actor, and he was like an all around great talent. He had Stump the Yards, he was doing movies, he moved over to Scandal, which at the time, when Columbus Short was on Scandal season 1 and 2, maybe 3, I'm not remembering. He was, I believe, either 1, 2, or 3 on the call sheet. He had a substantial role on the biggest and most talked about television show on TV. ABC, prime time. Child, Columbus Short was, listen, go watch Scandal. Go watch the first couple seasons of Scandal. That was supposed to catapult Columbus Short's career to levels beyond. Okay. Them Creed roles, all of that. Not to say Michael B. Jordan didn't kill it and that would have should have been Columbus. But I'm saying if you picture Columbus Short and what the possibilities could have been for him, it could have been endless. But he got personal struggles then took that man down. So not to say that is Jonathan Major's story, Columbus Short and Nate Parker. I'm just saying those are some of the only two examples that I can think of where we can kind of point to and say, well, maybe this is what's going to happen to Jonathan Major's career. Who knows? He could bounce back and that could not mean anything. But the reality is, Jonathan Majors is not a white actor. And so the number of opportunities and the chances that some other actors get, we've seen that has not been the case for Black people. So we just got to stand by and see. On a side note, today, child, I saw news. I was looking up the articles for this. Megan Good and Jonathan Majors got married on the low. Y'all, they got married on the low. So congratulations to them. I don't think this will impact their relationship at all. I think that I feel like anything that has happened in their relationship or any skeletons that Jonathan Majors got, I'm a believer that he probably told Megan all of that. He probably told her all that. He got to come clean with everything. Child, he got to put all of it on the table so she can know what she's dealing with. And once you know what you're dealing with, you can decide if you're gonna be cool with it or not. So again, I'm happy for them and I hope they have a fruitful and wonderful relationship together. And then if we get more updates about the overall happenings around Jonathan Majors and that newly released audio, I'll come back with an update if it's worth it. Okay. Hit me up though. If you have ideas or thoughts about it, you can find me at Cornelia on social media. So it was announced this past week that football player DK Metcalf, who now plays for the Pittsburgh Steelers, he was previously with the Seattle Seahawks, and R&B singer, pop singer Normani are engaged. Congratulations to them. Fantastic news. They've been dating for a while. DK had and Normani shared their proposal story and just gave some backstory and some information about their relationship overall. They're a cute young couple. They seem really happy together and just, it's just really nice to see that kind of pairing. Some people just look like they fit, right? They look like they fit. But the point it is I want to give a shout out to Sierra and Russell Wilson because they were responsible for hooking that couple up and helping to guide them and just being a relationship mentor and support system along the way. That's what I'm talking about. Okay. This is what we're talking about. And this is what we mean when we ask our friends to hook us up with one of your homeboys or hook me up with one of your homegirls. This is what we're talking about. Okay? This is what we mean. Now, we've heard either Sierra Russell and DK and Normani mention how that they were both trying to find a way for DK and Normani to meet up. Russell knew at one point that Sierra was hosting a party to celebrate her liquor brand and was, telling DK, you got to come to the party. You got to come to the party. Not telling him why he was so adamant about the party, but being like, listen, you got to show up. Sierra, on the other hand, was saying the same thing to Normani, like, you have to make sure you come and make sure you got to be there. And she kept following up with her to make sure that she was there, to the point where Normani was like, something going on. When they got there, or right before the party started, that's when they both told them, like, hey, your girl gonna be there, your boy about to pull up. And they were there to talk, and they were there to meet and eventually couple up. Traveling back a little bit within that, DK revealed that when he was in the locker room, a Seattle Seahawks locker room, Normani's motivation video was on television and, on the TVs that they got in there. And he said at that point, that's going to be my woman. That's going to be my girlfriend. That's going to be my wife. So DK saw Normani and was like, I need that. And now we're here. So let me say this to everybody that I know. Okay. When I ask you to hook me up with your friend, and now let me add a asterisk again. I'm not actively looking for a relationship. I am not actively right now telling my friends to hook me up. I am open to relationships, but I'm not pursuing it. And at this point, hey, listen, I done dated some dusties. Okay, I done dated some non-dusties. I've dated. The next relationship that I'm in, the man gotta be finer than a mug, because I'm not dating no more medium ugly or completely ugly. I'm done with that. You got to be attractive. The window has closed. Okay. He gotta be finer than a mug, and the relationship has to be perfect. And since perfection doesn't exist, I'm good. Okay. But if I get back to the point, and on behalf of all of my other single friends and the single Black news listeners, however you identify, male, female, you don't subscribe to gender norms, however or whatever, and whoever you are, we mean this when we say, tell one of your fine homeboys or one of your fine homegirls that I'm trying to holler. This is this. This. We don't mean the Dusties. We don't mean the one who is broken and got the childhood trauma. We don't mean the one who is saying that he moderate on the dating apps, but then when you meet him, he MAGA. We don't mean the one who is a podcast bro and is 2 steps away from taking his passport and trying to take advantage of some woman in a third world country. We don't mean that one who don't even got a good barber and you got to put him on how to get his hair cut properly, and then he get mad at you when you try to help. We don't mean them. We mean DK. Okay. When I say hook me up with one of your homeboys, I'm talking about hook me with a DK. Hook me up with a Jalen Hurts. Hook me up with a DK. Hook me up with a Jesse Williams. Hook me up with a Aaron Pierre. Hook me up with a Idris Elba. Hook me up with a damn Snedgers. Hit me up. Hook me up with them. Okay. That's what we mean. I'm also going to start a campaign, and by campaign, I ain't really going to do much. I'm just going to mention it every now and then, for Sierra and Russell Wilson. When Russell retires and he gets into his second act in life, they are the ones who need to be hosting these reality dating shows. Do you know how Love is Blind and them? We got Nick Lachey and Vanessa Lachey. They are technically the people, the forward facing people for Love is Blind. Baby, Russell and Sierra will kill a dating reality show. It's gonna be messy, because you can't have no reality show that ain't messy, but they have credibility to stand in front of us and pitch us a show that would make us feel like it's rooted in finding realistic and actual love in today's dating landscape. I'ma tune in. I would watch. Okay. I would watch. So overall, congrats to DK and Normani. Let me know your thoughts about it, right? Have you ever been hooked up with somebody that you felt like was hookupable? Okay. Let me know. You know where to find me. I'm at Cornelia on social media. On this week's episode of Black News, we talked about Black veterans being removed from websites and what this means for Black people and Black history moving forward. We also gave a quick update about Jonathan Majors and the audio that was just released in regards to a conversation that he had with his former girlfriend. And we gave a congratulations to DK Metcalf and Normani on their recent engagement, and also pitched a dating reality show hosted by Sierra and Russell Wilson. Hit me up. Let me know your thoughts about all of these topics. Summer None, and I'll check back with you guys next time. That's it for this week's episode of Black News, y'all. Thanks again for supporting the podcast by sharing, liking, subscribing, and rating 5 stars on your favorite podcast app. To find more information about me, you can check me out at Cornelia on social media, as well as on my website, which is cornelia.com. And as always, thanks for supporting, and I'll be back next week with new topics and a new episode.